Arguments with myself about minimum wage. A Wu Zhang Clan production.
Hey. Hey. So, rent is due this month soon.
Yup. What?
You got your part?
Paycheck's coming in this Friday.
Is it gonna be enough this time?
Is it ever?
God damn it. When are you gonna pull your own weight?
Come on, you know I can't pay with my salary.
Then stop working deadbeat jobs.
Easier said than done. Hey, but you know what?
What?
They just increased minimum wage, then I have more money.
It isn't that simple. Money doesn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, but that money is just going back into the economy anyways. Just force it out of the pockets of the companies.
Remind me of who you work for again? Because the last I checked, you make minimum wage because you work at a local sandwich deli. So, that sandwich deli is exactly going to be the type of business most hurt by an increase in minimum wage. They might even go out of business, and then you won't have a job at all. I mean, I don't think Google is going to be really affected by an increase in minimum wage. And besides, any effect would be negative on companies, just leading to driving up of prices to keep profit margins high. And you know what else? There have been multiple studies showing that increase in minimum wage would harm the economy and cause massive job loss.
Yeah, and who conducted those studies?
Well,
Exactly.
whatever, man. I wouldn't expect someone who works at a deli to understand.
Excuse me?
You heard me. What do you know about economics anyways?
Dude, I was on track for a pretty nice job managing stock. Probably be making twice as much as you right now if I was still there. I hadn't broke my leg last year, but those healthcare bills drove me to the ground.
Whatever. You might still be on track for that job if you hadn't taken an extra month for recovery time. I mean, it's a job in finance. You don't need to run around to do your job.
I think I deserve that time.
Well, maybe you stop complaining about not paying what you owe then.
Still think I should raise the minimum wage.
Are you serious? I just explained to you why that was a bad idea.
Well, for starters, just by raising the minimum wage, it will cause a ripple, leading to everyone having slightly higher wages.
What?
Yeah. And that means not only do you get more money to spend on weird video games, I'm able to pay my part of the rent. Win-win.
Hey, those video games help hone my cognitive processing.
Seriously? You buy that?
Yes.
Anyways, it's not like those are the only studies out there. Even if 500,000 people lose their jobs, that's still a tiny amount of the workforce. And if such a small percentage of workers are affected, employers will be affected even less.
Yeah, well, most of the people who make minimum wage are teenagers looking for pocket change. Besides, just trying to solve everything by increasing minimum wage is a blanket solution. It will never work. It's like trying to use a hammer to chip away at something. But I guess that analogy doesn't work for you because you're so dumb you do that anyway.
Hey, that was just one time, and it worked, if you recall.
Yeah, you smashed it and I had to go buy a new one.
Anyway, the percentage of minimum wage workers our teenagers are going down. People like me are becoming the standard. Even though I don't live below the poverty line, a ton of people will move above it if we just raise the minimum. Also, a study by the Congressional Budget Office shows a negligible effect on employment.
Dude, you just quoted something that has Congress in the name.
So? Geez, you're more ignorant than I thought you were.
Why do you have to be such an
I'm not. And we still haven't talked about how despite the fact that we have raised the minimum wage multiple times, our GDP is not reversing growth and employment has increased.
Right, because the two of us raised the minimum wage.
Now who's
Still you, because you can't say these random correlations and think that proves your point. I know that divorce rate in Maine correlates with per capita consumption of margarine, but no one is dumb enough to think that actually makes sense.
Still think we should raise the minimum wage. Statistics are one thing, but I think the good it will do in providing people with enough money to pay the rent, for example, is worth the risk.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear you say that when the prices go up and you can't pay for stuff again. Hey, here's an idea. How about instead of raising the minimum wage, we put more of our money into education? That way we can actually help long term and increase prosperity that way.
Hey, remember me? I think I'm pretty well educated, okay? Some people are just unlucky. Even if you think I'm you don't have to prevent thousands of others who just need a break.
Yeah, we can't argue with the fact that raising the minimum wage too far will ultimately lead to everyone being worse off. No one's gonna pay you $50 an hour to do something someone would willingly do for 10.
Yeah, I can't, because no one's talking about raising it that high. I mean, it just has to go beyond reason. Calculations show it should be a little over $20 an hour.
Are you serious? I already showed you how to raise to 1010 would lead to 1 million jobs being lost.
Yeah, well, we won't know for sure until we try it, will we?
No, I guess not.
Did we just agree on something?
Just because we don't know doesn't mean we should do it.
Do you know how much federal minimum wage is right now?
No. Do you?
It's just over $7. I think we could stand to raise it a little bit.
Except you make California minimum wage.
And?
I was hoping you would say what the number was.
It's $9, dude. Except livable wage in California is $11.
Livable wage will be set where it needs to be. Part of the reason why minimum wage works is because it's at pretty close where the market would set it for those kind of jobs.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the people who make up the market would be a lot happier if they could pay their rent.
Fine. Yes, if you could pay your rent, that would be great.
Well, too bad.
Why do I even talk to you?
Because I'm you. Or you're me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
While economic studies rely on projection and formulaic guesswork, here are the facts. Adjusting for inflation, minimum wage is currently at the level of the 1950s. 28 states have minimum wage set above the current federal minimum wage level. 17 states are at or below federal minimum wage. 5 states don't have minimum wage at all. From 2006 to 2009, federal statistics show that the lowest earning sectors of the nation were able to increase average and median wages across the board, although there was also a lack of growth of employment and even slight decreases in some. 4.3% of hourly workers are paid at or below the current federal minimum wage. In California, in 2013, 118,000 people were paid at or below the prevailing federal minimum wage. Out of the 8.9 million hourly paid workers, which represents a mere 1.3%, likely due to the higher minimum wage as well as a higher living standard. California will have the minimum wage increase to 10 starting 2016, while large cities already have minimum wage set well into double digits. If minimum wage had been adjusting for inflation since 1968, the minimum wage would be $10.52. Economic studies are often refuted and reaffirmed in a relatively short period of time. Historically, poverty has not been reduced following and due to a minimum wage increase, as seen in previous increases in states.
Come on, you know I can't pay with my salary.
Then stop working dead week jobs. And providing people with enough money to pay for the rent is an example of worth the risk.